Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls podcast with your host, Jennifer Loading.
And Brianna Drelas. And together we are the Starter Girls.
Where extraordinary decisions produce extraordinary results. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills, photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com.
And also you can head on over to startergirlswithaz.com and check out more about what we're doing over there. Keep in touch and also, of course, hear past episodes and just let us know how we can connect with you more.
Absolutely. All right. Today is a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, my friends, we got to welcome our guest onto the show today.
All right. Very exciting.
All right. Lissa Figgins is a Life Plus Biz Priorities Coach for women after 40 and host of the podcast Repurposed After 40. As a coach, author, and host, she teaches women to rethink and realign their priorities to create more balance, profit, and impact in this stage of life. She discovered her passion when she found herself frustrated, unfulfilled, and fading, facing a new stage in life. She decided to be intentional about her health and life to make a more significant impact. Since then, she has taken hundreds of women on this journey, and it's her mission to help others live repurposed too. So welcome to the show, Lissa. We're super thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you, ladies. It's so fun to be here.
I almost feel like I'm tearing up from that bio. Oh. I am so
I know. I was thinking, I don't need that girl.
Doing. I don't know. I'm like, why am I tearing up? That maybe, you know,
the 4-0 thing.
Yeah. Like it's so important. I just love that you're doing this.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the 4-0 thing is a big thing for a lot of us. And it was definitely a wake up call for me. And that's what catapulted everything that I'm doing now. And you know, we all eventually are going to hit that stage. So why not do it with intention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Well, by the time this goes out, this will be by long past that. But I have a birthday coming up this week. So I'm kind of entering that last end of the 4 O's. And I'm trying to learn to embrace that. So that's a whole nother stage. I intend to celebrate the next year before we get to the next big number. But yes, I do want to open this up, Liz. I want you to tell us a little bit about I guess maybe let's start with what led you to this, because you kind of just jumped on that. Tell us what led you to this and what you're doing here to help your clients kind of make that transition into this next stage in their life.
Yes. So let me make the disclaimer. You don't have to necessarily be 40. I always tell my 30-something friends, if you can start asking these questions earlier, you're going to be ahead of the game and ahead of where I was. So my journey actually started in my 30s. I had a wake-up call. I had a cancer scare, and I went in for surgery. They removed what they thought was cancer, found out it wasn't. But that was my wake-up call to my own wellness, right? And I would have told you I was healthy. I was intentional. You know, I wasn't doing a bunch of, eating a bunch of junk and things like that. But I started diving into learning about what was healthy living really, inside and out. What did that look like? And so made a lot of lifestyle changes and really wanted to be on the prevention side rather than trying to fix problems after the fact. And then I hit the 40, and I swear I woke up, not even at my birthday yet. My birthday's halfway through the year. So I remember waking up in January and just looking in the mirror and going, oh my gosh, what just happened, right? A few more wrinkles around the eyes, a little more bulge around the belly. But really the deeper questions that started coming out were, who is that girl in the mirror, and what is she made of, and what's she good at? I'd been in this survival mode as a mom. I had a husband who served in the military, so he would be gone for up to a year at a time. So I was often on my own and just trying to make sure that everybody got from one place to the other and got to bed, and we just got up and did it all over again. Right. And so I was just in that place where I didn't know who I was. I didn't have dreams and goals. I had no idea what life looked like really outside of my 4 walls. And so that 40 birthday was really my wake-up call. So, for somebody listening, it may be a birthday like that. It may just be an anniversary of some kind. It may be an event in your life. It may just be one day you wake up and start asking those questions. And I found that, prior to 40, a lot of times we ask questions about what we're doing, and the things we want to do and the things we want to be and the kind of mom we want to be. And after 40, we start thinking more about like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave and what impact do I want to make? So I started, just asking a lot of questions and diving into growing myself first. and then started sharing what I was learning with others around me. And lo and behold, I found out I was not the only woman who had turned 40 and didn't know who she was. So that was really good to know. But I thought, wow, I wonder if there's a way to help these women. And so it started off on the health and wellness side of things, saying, okay, our bodies are changing. If we're not being intentional, time and gravity are going to take over your body. And we all know their results are not what we're looking for. So how do we, be intentional about our wellness? And then that started, that conversation started expanding into other areas of our life. How do we be intentional about our faith, about our relationships, about, what we're doing for work? And a lot of people asking questions about, do I want to do this forever? Or maybe I want to start a business or try something different. Of course, our health and wellness is a piece of that. And then just enjoying life and having fun. And so this whole theme of priorities kept popping up. And I thought, I think that's something that is really key, that I know when I got those clarified in my own mind and in my own heart, that made all the difference for me. So I started coaching other women around that, particularly ones who also are building a business. But, we all have to prioritize the things in our day. So I think we can all relate to that.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just said that like at the same time. We're in sync today.
Yes.
I can. Yes, no, and I think, Lissa, you kind of touched upon like that asking questions, and sometimes it's that you have something happen that kind of forces you to go back and look at your priorities. What are you doing? Where are you going? What are you trying to create? And I think you said something really significant here about how, when you hit the 40, it kind of comes into what's the legacy you want to leave, what is it you want to create to leave behind? So I think you said some really purposeful things there. I like it. Good stuff.
And I think what happens after this stage too, we start to see almost like a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to our stage of parenting. The nest is starting to empty. And, I think for a lot of women, so much of our life, even if it's not staying home full time with kids, has been focused around our kids and their activities and their needs. And so then there's just this, wow, what am I going to do when I grow up, right? My kids are growing up. And so, let's see how I want to be intentional about how I'm going to grow and how I'm going to serve others and, continue to thrive and flourish even outside of this role of, being the present mom that is with kids in the house.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because I have almost 16-year-old, 11-year-old, and 8-year-old, and the spread on them gives me access to women in like mother groups for each child. Right. So some of them are really young, compared to me. And some of them are, I'm the youngest of the older group. Right. So at the end of the day, though, I see the young moms, and most of them are, some of them are working. Most of them are just with the kids and managing the home. And some of them have little side gigs, which I get really excited about. But I do see sometimes, I could tell that they're searching. I can tell that they're like, because they're navigating, their kids are getting to a little bit older now. So they feel like they have a little more time to open up other opportunities. And so I get really excited to see that because just like you said, when everyone leaves the nest, what you gonna do? What you gonna spend your time doing, besides having lunch every day? I mean, now I'm not trying to knock anybody because I love to have lunch every day too. I'm just saying these women are so smart and so they want to do things. They want to do things. I think sometimes they just feel like tied.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it frees up mental space. It frees up physical space. And you just feel like you can explore some of those things that when your kids have more independence, they don't need you as hands-on, like they used to.
Yeah. And that is definitely a transition. It's so funny that we're even having this conversation. I don't think it was a couple weeks ago. I saw some video on TikTok because every now and then I get in there and I'm bored. So I got to get in there and send, new kids on the block videos to Brianna. But I came across this mom in there that was, she was crying. She was talking about that, how like when you're a parent and you have kids, they don't tell you that, in the beginning they're all over you and they want you. And then all of a sudden they don't need you anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at. Cause I have my middle one's back home. My little one is graduating high school this year. So he'll be heading off. And so I appreciate having had something for myself all those years. Even, we talked about in the previous episode where I started my own gig when my oldest was 2 and she's now 25 and married. And so I've had something going all along, and I've always felt that I needed to have that because I didn't want to come to that moment where I go, okay, what am I going to do now? My kids don't need me. I feel like we're already in that phase now. So now it's like, I laugh about it because when they do want something, I'm like, excuse me, mom has something to do and I made plans and I'm doing that. Like I don't feel guilty about that anymore. But I see where that could be definitely a place where women come in and they go, I've been the homemaker and I've been with my kids. I've been consumed in that. And now what am I going to do? And you start asking those questions, like, what do I do going forward?
I mean, even if you're in a full-time position, working, I think that who you were when you came out of college and started whatever you were doing is not the same person you are 10, 15, 20 years later. Yeah. And so I think it's always good to pause regularly and just check in with yourself. Is what I'm doing really life-giving to me? Is what I'm doing utilizing the skills, the gifts that God's given me? Is what I'm doing making an impact? Is what I'm doing, like filling me with energy, or is it depleting and exhausting me? And just paying attention and kind of checking in with yourself every once in a while. I think it's really key, whether you're before 40, at 40, or somewhere after 40.
100%.
That's my favorite question is what I'm doing giving me energy or depleting me?
Yeah.
Because it's not just the action, but it's also the people. Mm-hmm. Are these people giving me energy or are they depleting me? And I'm not talking about my kids. I'm just talking about the people, that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah. 100%.
Sure. And I think as women, we have this natural tendency that we've been created with to nurture, to care, to serve, right? Like we'll do things for everybody else all day long. And then I know in my case, I would oftentimes put myself on the back burner, whether it was physically, my needs, or whether it was those goals and dreams. And so, I think that when we do that, then nobody's really getting the best of us, so we may be the quote unquote dedicated mom who's doing everything for her kids. But if we're exhausted and we're not able to really give them our best, I really think that that's kind of selfish, and so really making sure that we're filled up. And that's why when I work with clients, we work on 7 different areas of your life. This is not just one area, because you could be really great in one area and then other ones are falling apart or being neglected, and you're eventually going to feel that. So I think it's really key that we're kind of looking at things as a holistic view of how we're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that. Otherwise, you're running around with
100%.
like a wooden spoon or something flying through your house, right? I don't do that.
Yeah, or just feeling like you're always on the hamster wheel and you're just always running, and then you're looking around going, what did I even get done in the day? What did I do? And I'm just going to go to bed and wake up and do this all over again. Like that's not very motivating.
No, and that's why I keep a to-do list every day, Lissa, so I know that I'm getting something done. Otherwise, I do that. I'll be like, I did not get anything done today.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I did nothing.
Exactly. Good. Okay, so Lissa, you know what? I want to let's dive into a little bit. So I don't want you to spill everything on here because I know we have to keep some of this stuff kind of back there, but
right.
Maybe what is something that you some advice maybe you would offer somebody that's maybe in this stage where they're going, okay, I don't know where what I want to do and where I'm going. What are maybe some questions that they can ask themselves, kind of like Brianna said, to inspire some, I guess, maybe some ideas?
Yeah, no, that's great. I would say the first thing starts with deciding and asking yourself, am I a priority? And that doesn't mean it has to be to the neglect of your family and now you're not doing anything, for them, but realizing that it's not selfish to think about what are the things I like. I remember being at that point where somebody asked me, what my goal was or what I liked. And I said out loud, when was the last time number one, anyone else ever asked me that? Or I even was able to think about that. It's always, what did the family want? What did the kids want? What did someone else want? So, so deciding that, that you are a priority and starting to ask those questions, what really lights me up? What energizes me? What could I talk about all day long? What could I do? And it doesn't feel like, work. It doesn't feel like it's depleting me. What are those things that really just fuel my soul? And maybe even pay attention to what are the things that other people are coming to you about? because oftentimes we're giving and serving and doing things that others see in us before we see it ourselves. So I think that's the first thing to do, is just decide that you're a priority. I think the second thing is to really take a look at, what do I want this stage of life to look like? Especially as the nest starts emptying, things are going to look different. And so if we don't have any kind of dream or idea or vision of what that looks like, then we're just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And, who knows where you're going to end up? It's like if you go on a road trip and you just say, I'm just going to turn where the wind takes me, you're probably not going to end up at the amazing destination that you could if you would have envisioned that destination and then put that destination into your GPS. That's going to get you there, right? So where do I want to go? And the 7 areas that I talk about, what do I want how do I want my faith to be a part of my life? How do I want my relationships to be prioritized, whether it's family or friends? What do I want to be doing with like the work part of my day? Whether I'm working for somebody else, or I'm now my own CEO, or I'm the household, running a household. What does that look like? What do I want my bank account to look like? The finances and, where money is coming and going and things like that. What about wellness? What do I want that to look like, right? What kind of a body, how do I want to feel? And then of course, fun. I think a lot of times we don't make room and space for making fun a priority. And, thinking about what are those things I've been wanting to do and just haven't, so just brain dumping, a lot of that down on paper and starting to, to really get that. And then I would say, get other people around you. You're not alone. So find other women who are also in this stage of life, find others who have similar passions and interests that you do, find others who are also working on growing themselves, because a rising tide raises all ships. It will bring you up. And they say you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So choose wisely and choose people that are going to encourage and support you and push you and cheer you on, and things like that. And, I'm a huge proponent of coaching, not just because I'm a coach, but because I know I need a coach to come alongside and help see, the blind spots and help create that plan and hold me accountable to, actually doing the things that I say that I want to do. So those are some of the things that I would say, start with, what is it that you really love? And then looking at what is it that you really want life to look like? And then how can I bring other people around me to help make this happen instead of it just being a dream that stays in your head?
It's good.
Thank you for sharing all of that. That was really great. I think it's so helpful. And here's the thing, whether you feel like you're on the right track or not, everything that you just said we all need to hear it. Again, it's like the repetition is the mother of skill type, approach.
Yeah.
It's information that we all need to hear over and over.
Yeah. And it's good to check in. Like I said, you could think that, have headed off on a path and think that you're going towards something, and then you veer off in the ditch and you get distracted by life or, some shiny object syndrome. And so it's good to check in and kind of come back and say, let me just make sure I'm going where I want to go. Right. And if not, it's never too late to course correct. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, with that, Lissa, you said a couple things. One, I think that was really important with all of that was when she talked about the fun, because I think it's so important. I think that as women, a lot of times we do this, we barter or negotiate doing things that we enjoy doing for ourselves because we justify, say we don't have time. I've got to deal with kids, or I've got to deal with this. If you're an empty nester, it's not kids, but it may be something else, right? And I think we say to ourselves, we don't have time to do this. But I always say to people, I kind of offer a different input on that and say, you really can't afford not to have that in your life. Mm-hmm. Because when you are not doing something that you enjoy doing, if you're not taking some time out of your week, whether that's just 30 minutes, whatever that is, if that's reading a book, if it's walking, if it's going to the spa, if it's shopping. I don't like shopping, so it ain't shopping. That's not fun for me. But whatever it is fun, if you're not taking time to do that, you're not showing up as your best self. There's no way that you're showing up at your best self ever without doing that.
Exactly.
So I think that's instrumental in this and important. And I had another thought I was going to bring up that you said. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is that I think it's so neat that all of us are coaches in some way. And I think what is so interesting about the coach's journey is like, I cannot imagine, when I think back at my career, I came from the network marketing space kind of like you did. And I was fortunate enough to be in that space for 21 years. I had incredible mentors during that time. I mean, I was blessed to have all these different people come into my life and learn this stuff. But I really didn't start receiving a lot of it until I went through a major health crisis. I feel like I'm going through one now, but I went through a major crisis. And that's when I became open to receiving it. And so I think it's so interesting that we learn these things on our journey. We all have, like, I'm listening to all your 7 things, and these are all the things that I talk about. I talk about them in my book. They're the habits that I talk about now. I say them different than you say them, but they're essentially the same pieces of the puzzle coming together, this whole holistic health, right? All of it. And I think it's just so interesting how we all arrive at that piece. And it's like we all of a sudden sort of become enlightened. And it's like, I think about where I was in my 20s and how all of this was so foreign to me. Like somebody would say this to me and I'd be like, you are a quack, get away from me. You know what I mean? And now I look at it so very differently because I've had to go through these journeys that have forced me to go back to my priorities and what's important to me. And I will say this every time, that whenever I'm in the middle of a crisis, it's because something in my life was out of alignment with those things you're talking about.
Absolutely.
All goes back to the core values. It all really comes back to those priorities and core values.
And I was talking with someone earlier today that there are only 2 things that will shift our mindset. Either an emotional, like something happens, like you were talking, Jennifer, about, what you were going through health-wise. And so you think about how that really shook you, or repetition, right? And just continuing to create those new patterns and those new habits and those new thoughts that are going to, direct you in the direction that you want to go. I would much rather be in control of the process and work on the repetition side rather than have it be some major life, occurrence. But, either one is going to help us redirect. So we can be intentional and be in the driver's seat.
Some of us have to have the coming to Jesus moment. Let's get dropped down on your knees. Hello.
Totally.
I just had this conversation with my son today because I've got, like my oldest daughter is a very stoic child, very calm, collected. Middle one, a little, maybe middle. Little one is like carbon copy of me. Goes, crash and burn. So I had this conversation with him just today. I said, dude, you can't sleep on 3 hours and think you're going to function like this for the rest of your life. Like, you have to sleep. I mean, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to be like, hello, Sean, your body is not going to work and you're going to have a problem and it's going to stop you. And that's generally what happens to me when I go. I have something that says, you need to stop.
Yep.
You just been doing it too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how you said, you can't afford not to. And I often say you can invest now or you can pay later. And just like with credit, right? When we buy something on credit, it always costs us more down the road. As we talk about these things, it's going to cost more money, more time, more emotions, just more energy, everything. So it's always better to invest in you and in who you are now rather than try to react to it later.
I agree. 100%.
100%.
100%. It's so good. Hey, Lissa, I want to ask you kind of a fun question. I haven't asked this question in a long time, but I think you're going to give me a good answer. So I'm going to ask this. What do you love about what you get to do? What is the best part of this?
My favorite thing to do is just hearing women's stories, and the whole theme of repurposed comes up. And that's why I've kind of used that as my term of repurposed, because so many of us have been through a lot of things in our life. A lot of times they end up being negative things, right? It could be a health crisis. It could be some emotional thing that happened. It could be a relational issue that happened. It could be a job issue, some kind of stress. There's something that has really created us into who we are today. And what I see happening is women taking those experiences, taking their past, maybe their education, taking things that they've been excited about in the past, and then repurposing that in a new way in this stage of life. And I just think that's so exciting to see how there can be purpose, even in things that maybe seemed mundane at the time, or they seemed, really hard or negative. And I just had conversations with women every day who are helping others on their journey because they've experienced similar things. And I just think that's so amazing that we can, kind of use our story to inspire, encourage, and help other people and help shorten the learning curve for them, right? And help provide some of those things that maybe we wish we would have had when we were going through that. So this whole idea of repurposing things in kind of that first half of life and using it for a new purpose in the second half, that excites me. And I love that.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Awesome. So tell us about your podcast.
Yeah. So Repurposed After 40 is where I do that. I have conversations with women who have repurposed themselves in some way. And It's interesting. Someone was asking me about if I see a common thread on my guests, and it would be that their story is what got them to where they are and why they're doing what they're doing now and helping others. And so I think that's really, really fun. So they could be entrepreneurs, they could be coaches, they could just be women who just have a heart to share their story with other people, maybe not even professionally, just, because they have a big heart to do that. And, we talk about that, and we share practical tips about, if this is something that you're working on in your life or your business or a relationship in this stage of life, like, what are practical things you can do? How, letting people know you're not alone, and there are resources out there. There are people out there that are like you that, can help walk that journey with you too.
That's so good. Because you can, and I think people can, when they can relate to other people that are going through something similar, there's just something cathartic about that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like you can be like, hey, I get where you're coming from. I need it. Like you did.
Well, and I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Like what
exactly.
I was saying earlier.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Because anybody can get up and give you information, but when there's a story behind it, and they've actually done this and they've come through it, or this has helped them to improve. Maybe they didn't come out of something hard, but maybe they just wanted to step things up. It makes you kind of lean in and think, wow, I want to listen into what this person has to share.
Sure. Yeah. That connection piece.
Story. Well, and then stories sell. So, I mean, that was something, when I've worked with women in business, because I coach women kind of what you're doing too, and then also in the business side of it. And a lot of times it's that they're in something, but they don't really know why they're in it. And they think they have to have this profound story. And I don't necessarily know that you have to have the profound story. I mean, your story is whatever it is for you, whatever that is, whatever you're passionate about, that's your story. Right. And, and oftentimes they're doing something that they're just not really passionate about. And that's why they're digging so deeply to find that, you know what I mean? And so I think when you're passionate about it, you've got that story, even if it's not this massive, profound story, and we all have different reasons that bring us to where we are. But I think that passion has to be matched up, and you'll find that.
And your story's still being written, like it's just the next chapter. And so I know even from when I started this, my why has changed as I've grown, as I've gotten deeper into what my vision is, what my mission is, what my purpose is. That comes out in a different way. And, that's just that process of, I think it's growing and living out loud and letting people kind of come along the ride with you.
100%. Listen, life would be boring if your story just stopped. I'm like, my story is like changing. I feel like my story changes every week. It's like, I'm onto something.
We need a plot twist every once in a while, right?
Yeah. I'm like, man, reel that in, like pull it back in. Cause I'm like, we're going here now. We're going to do this. Do you feel like that? Cause I feel like I'm like,
I don't know. I just feel like life is a little wild right now. I don't even know. It's I would say I wouldn't mind if my life was just a little more calm right now.
You're at that busy stage.
I'm in a weird, I just kind of feel like I'm in a weird vortex.
Well, you've still got young kids, which is like that. Cause I remember being in that space. I mean, at the time that when I wrote my book, I wrote my book in 2019, but my story was from 2012 to 2017. My kids were 16, 8, and 12 at the time that happened. And so I was kind of at that place right where you are. Mm-hmm. And I talked about that in my book about how when I've shared this with you, when I went into this holistic practitioner and he said, what was going on in your life at the time that this crisis hit? And I was like mad about it because I'm like, dude, like I'm being a mom, like I'm doing the mom thing. And then hindsight. So fast forward, when I wrote that, I could look back and I could see right where you're at. And I was like, okay, homeroom mom, PTA mom. Like I was going, when I say homeroom mom, field trip mom, like I'd go on the same field trip 3 times in 1 week because they were in charter school. So I had to go with different kids all, same place 3 times. And I was running a business. And so I was kind of in that space where we were like in the fast food lane eating and, and I felt that, and so the good news is all things pass, they move, right? We know that. It's just making sure that we take care of us in between those spaces.
Yes.
So that we are whole.
Yeah.
Humans.
We're taking care of ourselves, not getting sick.
Exactly.
Darn it.
I agree.
Yes.
Listen, this is good stuff. I think we should do some fun questions with her because I think this is good stuff, and I think you got a lot of good things going on. I would tell people to go check out your podcast and all that. I want to do some fun questions with her. You want to kick it off, or you?
Sure, okay. I would love to kick it off. So, I know that you are in the St. Louis area. ish, outside of
Ish.
ish. Are you I'm going to go on the very, very top of the St. Louis Arch fan or not so much?
That's good.
When people come to town, yes. So
You're in.
we
You're
actually
in the capsule. You're going up.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's a great view up there. I wouldn't go up every day, but I mean, to see all of that from up there is amazing.
It is amazing.
Have you been?
It feels like Mork and Mindy when you're in that little egg thing.
There's like a helicopter pad right there. We did a helicopter ride around it too. It was amazing.
I'm shaking my head. I could buy a pass.
Okay,
on
so
that.
see, she ain't going up.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about taking me up there. I was at the Tower Club the other day with my friend Yulia. Have y'all been in the Tower Club?
Yes.
Okay, I've never been in there. I didn't even know about it. So I go check out. I get up there. She's
skyscraper in Dallas,
She wants
downtown
me to
Dallas.
get over there and come look at the edge of the window and look at. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I can see plenty from right back here. I'm good. So you won't have to worry about showing me that. We'll be good.
All right.
Fun question. Let's see. What's up? Favorite book?
Favorite book? Oh gosh. Right now I'm reading a book called A Spacious Life, which has really been convicting. It's about trading the hustle and hurry for just more quiet and space in our life. So that's one I'm reading. But I will say probably one of my favorites is The Best Yes by Lissa Figgins, about how to, in a different way, say no to things that aren't serving you and going to take you towards what's most important.
That's good.
Oh, my turn. Pizza or Chinese?
Oh, see, I'm a veggie girl. So if I can load the veggies on the pizza, or the Chinese has way more veggies in it, stir fry veggies, than it does the noodles, then I'm going to have to go with whichever one has more of those.
Oh,
We should not talk about food. I'm hungry.
I know.
All right. Okay, Lissa. So we talked about fun earlier. What's your fun? What do you love to do besides coaching your women and making them amazing?
Right. I know. I've had to learn like that. I have to do fun things outside of that. Lately, we just hosted a 5K. And so training for that was really fun. I took my dog out every morning and we would do our runs. So I enjoy that and just being outside. As a family, we love hiking. So whenever we can get out and just be in nature and go explore and walk a trail somewhere, or not necessarily climb a mountain, but just be outside and enjoying all that. That's fun.
I saw your pictures, by the way, for the 5K. I just saw that. I didn't know what that was, but sounds fun. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, we created a 5K course on our property. So this is the 4th one that we've hosted. And next year we're going to do t-shirts for year 5. So it'll be fun.
Fun.
On your property. So before it gets cold, right? Because you're going to get cold weather.
We are.
Okay. That is so cool.
That's a good question we can ask you. Are you a summer or winter person?
Oh gosh, I'm a fall person for sure. Like this time of year is perfect. But if I had to pick between summer and winter, I would definitely pick summer. I don't love being cold, although I do love the blankets and the layers. So I prefer to be inside in the wintertime.
I prefer summer, hot, warm, no daylight savings time. Leave me with the sun, please.
So funny. Thank you so much for coming today, Lissa. It's been really great to connect with you.
Absolutely. And where do we send
Well, thank you guys so much.
Oops. Where do we send our guests to come find you, Lissa, if they want to learn a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, you can head on over to my website. That's the best place to find me, lissafiggins.com. And it's Melissa without the M-E, because it's not about me. So Lissa, that's how you spell the first part. And there are 2 G's in Figgins. And I do have a free gift that I've got on there that your listeners I'd love to give to. It's a reusable daily priorities planner. And it helps you to really think through those 7 areas and, what matters most to you in those. So that way they're top of mind, they're in front of you. And then you can start thinking about how they're going to fit into your day, your week, your month, your year. So yeah, that's over there on lissafiggins.com. And I'm on any social media platform, Lissa Figgins as well.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing to, like I said, help women be amazing.
Amazing.
That's right.
Well, I truly believe it's already in there, and for so many of us, we've been pushing it down for so long. It's time to have somebody help us get it out. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, to our audience, we want to say this. If you enjoy our podcast, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook, because we can't do this without you, and hit that subscribe button.
And also, don't forget to head over to startergirls.com. We'd love to keep in touch with you outside the podcast. And we look forward to seeing you over on iTunes, Speaker, all the places.
All the places.
All the places.
All the places. All right, a couple final thoughts to wrap this up. Nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness and health, but has left it to us to put these pieces together.
There you
That is
go.
by Diane McLaurin. And as we always say, in order to have success, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.